What happens when the person sounding the alarm is not some random internet commentator, not a podcaster, not a protest influencer, not somebody trying to go viral? What happens when the person standing there is an active duty U.S. Air Force major? A man in uniform, a man who swore an oath, a man who decided that silence was more dangerous than arrest. Today we're talking about Major Jason Watson and what he said, why he was arrested, and what this moment says about America right now. Because this is bigger than one man on the Capitol steps. This is about speech. This is about power. This is about whether the government serves the people or whether the people are allowed to speak when power finds it convenient. Now let's be clear from the jump. You don't have to agree with every word Jason Watson said to understand why this moment matters. That's the trick they play on us. They make every free speech issue about whether you personally like the speaker. But the rights are not supposed to be based on comfort. The First Amendment is not a customer service policy. It's not there to protect polite opinions set at approved hours and approved places with approved wording. It exists because the founders understood something simple. Power does not like being questioned. And when the power starts deciding which questions are allowed, democracy starts to turn into theater. Major Jason Watson stood on the Capitol steps with the message, calling for impeachment, conviction, and removal. He was reportedly peaceful. He was not storming the building. He wasn't swinging at anybody. He wasn't causing chaos. He was making a statement. And for that, he was arrested. Now, legally, Capitol Police are saying there are rules about whether demonstrations can happen and where. Fine. We could talk about the technicality. But morally, spiritually, historically, this looks like something deeper to me. Because when a man in uniform risks his career, his reputation, and freedom, the question isn't, did he stand in the wrong spot? The question is, what did he see that made him feel like standing there was worth the consequence? That's the part America better not ignore. Because sometimes the warning doesn't come from the loudest person. Sometimes it comes from the person who has the most to lose. And that should scare us. This is where we need to slow down. Military members do not swear an oath to a president as a person. They swear an oath to the Constitution. That matters. Because the Constitution is supposed to be bigger than party, bigger than personality, bigger than whoever happens to be sitting in power. So when an active duty officer says, I believe something is wrong enough that I have to speak on it, that's not an automatic rebellion. That could be his conscience. That could be alarm. That could be a person saying, I did not sign up to defend a government from the people. I signed up to defend the people from threats to the Constitution. And that's where this gets heavy, because in a healthy country, protest is not treated like contamination. In a healthy country, the government can be criticized without acting like it's been attacked. But when the government starts getting more offended by criticism than corruption, we're in dangerous territory. Government bullying does not always look like tanks in the street. Sometimes it looks like paperwork. Sometimes it looks like selective enforcement. You can protest here, just not like that. You can say that, but not while wearing that. You can believe that, but don't say it publicly. And eventually the rights still exist on paper, but disappear in practice. And we become a country where freedom becomes decorative. A country where the Constitution is treated like a museum piece instead of a living promise to the people. A country where people are technically free, but socially, legally, and professionally terrified to use that freedom. And once citizens become scared to speak, power no longer needs to silence everyone. It only needs to make an example of a few. And when the government punishes the warning, it proves the warning had a point. This moment should make everybody uncomfortable. Democrats, Republicans, what have you, everybody. Because today it might be somebody that you disagree with, but tomorrow it could be you. That's why we got to stop treating civil liberties like team merchandise. Free speech cannot only matter when our side is speaking. Protest cannot be sacred when only our side is marching. Government overreach cannot only be scary when the other side is in charge. Because once we normalize the machinery of silencing, that machine does not stay loyal. It turns on whoever becomes inconvenient next. This kind of government intimidation continues, the future gets dark. People stop protesting. Journalists start softening headlines. Public workers stop whistleblowing. Military members stop raising ethical concerns. Teachers stop teaching the hard parts. Citizens stop saying what they actually believe. And slowly the country becomes quiet. Not peaceful. Quiet. There's a difference. Peace is when people are heard. Silence is when people are afraid. And we need to learn the difference before it's too late. Major Jason Watson may become a headline for a day. People may argue about the law. People may argue about Trump. People may argue about whether he should have done it in the uniform. Fine. Have those conversations. But don't miss the bigger question. What kind of country are we becoming when people who swore to defend the Constitution feel like they have to risk arrest just to remind Congress to uphold it? That is the conversation. That is the warning. Because I don't want to wake up in a country where courage is treated like a crime and silence is treated like patriotism. This has been the Dreaad Report, and today's message is simple. If the truth makes power uncomfortable, then maybe power has gotten too comfortable. Peace.